This single black and white image captures the Queen's first memory of meeting Prince Philip in 1939. She was 13, Princess Elizabeth at the time. He was 18, soon to join the Navy and the Second World War.
It's a bit of an old chestnut that Philip impressed Elizabeth because he could jump over a tennis net.
The dashing Prince of Greece and Denmark certainly made an impression. Those close to Elizabeth say she fell for him instantly.
Princess Elizabeth saw this 18-year-old, 6-foot-tall, incredibly handsome. He was nicknamed the Viking, and she fell desperately head over heels in love with him at first sight.
While they stayed in touch through letters, it wasn't until 1945, when Prince Philip returned from the war as a decorated soldier, that a courtship really commenced. They were secretly engaged in 1946 and married on the 20th of November 1947 in front of 2,000 people at Westminster Abbey.
The crowds are getting their first glimpse of the bride and the bridegroom together, Elizabeth and Philip.
The reception featured a 9-foot wedding cake and 2,500 gifts from around the world. But all this mattered little compared to the deep love and affection they already shared.
We behave as though we have belonged to each other for years. Philip is an angel. He is so kind and thoughtful.
Philip had to give up his Greek and Danish royal titles in order to be with Elizabeth. He took the surname Mountbatten and became the Duke of Edinburgh. Anything for the love of his life.
My ambition is to weld the two of us into a new combined existence that will not only be able to withstand the shocks directed at us, but will also have a positive existence for the good.
Children soon followed. Prince Charles just 1 year after the wedding, and Princess Anne 2 years after that. They moved to Malta to allow Prince Philip to further his military career as a ship commander.
The United States heavy cruiser Des Moines, one of the latest of her type, also welcomed the princess, who was accompanied by Prince Philip.
But it was a short-lived chapter, with Elizabeth's father, King George VI, dying suddenly in 1952. As she assumed the throne, Philip's career came to a premature end, and he became the royal consort.
Inevitably, it's an awkward situation to be in. There's only one other person really like me, and that's Prince Bernard of the Netherlands, and so we occasionally discuss he's the only other member of the union, so to speak.
Do you get used to it?
Oh yes, you get used to anything, you'd be surprised.
And the Queen was sensitive to Philip's sacrifice. Historians note her decision early on that if she was to be head of state, he would be the head of the family.
You have to remember, this is a man who was a serving naval officer, who was very accomplished, very masculine, living in a world where most men went out to work and were the breadwinners, and he was being asked to do the absolute opposite. It was a real reversal of gender roles.
So began the arrangement that would define their relationship for decades to come. Elizabeth, the rock for her people, Philip, the rock for her, as their family grew and the world rapidly changed. The Queen offered this tribute on their golden wedding anniversary in 1997.
All too often, I fear Prince Philip has had to listen to me speaking. Frequently, we have discussed my intended speech beforehand, and as you will imagine, his views have been expressed in a forthright manner. He is someone who doesn't take easily to compliments, but he has quite simply been my strength and stay all these years.
Philip, who attracted more than his fair share of controversy over the years, knew it wasn't always easy having him as a hubby.
I think that the main lesson that we've learned is that tolerance is the one essential ingredient of any happy marriage. It may not be quite so important when things are going well, but it is absolutely vital when things get difficult. And you can take it from me that the Queen has the quality of tolerance and abundance.
Their love language well and truly established, their bond endured for many more years to come, marking diamond and platinum anniversaries. In Philip's final year, he and Elizabeth were still taking daily walks together. Then, after months of ailing health, the Queen's rock was gone.
We have just received a statement from Buckingham Palace confirming that the Duke of Edinburgh has died.
The Duke of Edinburgh died at age 99 on the 9th of April 2021. Elizabeth was heartbroken. Her silent grief crystallised in this image of her sitting alone at her late husband's funeral. But when the time came to give her annual Christmas address, she knew exactly what to say.
His sense of service, intellectual curiosity, and capacity to squeeze fun out of any situation were all irrepressible. That mischievous, inquiring twinkle was as bright at the end as when I first set eyes on him.
Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip's marriage was the longest in UK royal history, an incredible 73 years. Elizabeth's death comes just 17 months after Philip's. The teenage princess and the dashing soon-to-be soldier, now themselves just a memory.
Gee, it really was a love match, wasn't it? And they were each other's strength, and I think both of them believed that they couldn't have lived the life and given the service that they did if they hadn't had the other one there, as they called each other their rock.
You certainly needed a partner.
Yeah.
Through all of this, right?
Yeah.
I think it's something that is striking about that moment when Prince Philip died, but also about this moment now, that there is a very public, very shared component to this sort of grief, but also a private grief that King Charles will be experiencing, as will the other children right now. But they need to do that ultimately on the public stage. I can only imagine it must be a very difficult balance to strike.
And he would know better than most the way his own mother conducted herself when she took to the throne, and there was no time for grieving. There was only time for moving on and ruling their kingdom.